I am Minerva Lagria. I'm an occupational therapist, but doing mostly community development. COVID occupational therapy in remote community mental health. March Village was just a relocation camp for the survivors of Typhoon Haiyan in 2013 in a remote island in Cebu Province, Philippines. The camp evolved into a village with decent disaster-resilient housing units providing shelters to 300 plus households. When the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the village implemented cascaded national guidelines, which included a lockdown, restricted movements within the community, and quarantine for fisherfolk coming home from deep-sea fishing and family members from the mainland, further isolating them from their families. These restrictions resulted to environmental changes, disruptions of livelihood, leisure, education, and limited access to health facilities. Fears of death, isolation, and financial insecurities triggered anxiety disorders to a couple of residents in the village. The camp administrator, an occupational therapist, me, collaborated with a local government unit for virtual mental health and medical consultations, occupational therapy interventions, and social welfare helps like cash assistance to procure medicine and other social support. The objectives of this presentation are to demonstrate the use of occupational therapy in village setting and to describe the impact of occupational therapy in specific circumstances. When the lockdown happened, it hindered the access of health services from the city, including, of course, mental health care. March Village has more than a couple of mental health cases. Some were chronic cases and some acute cases. Among the chronic cases are Freddie, Veronica, and Gary. Of course, not their true names. Gary's picture is not accessible or has not been accessible. Patient 1, Freddie. He is 54 years old, a fisherman specializing on crabbing. It's a case of major depression. It was triggered when he found his fiancée intimate with another man in her house, few weeks before their wedding. He has been shackled to the wall for 3 years prior to the pandemic because he wanders and climbs on trees and other high places. His solitary goal was to go back fishing and provide for his parent. Patient 2, Veronica, is a 35-year-old mother of 5, and she suffered from postpartum blues, which further developed into schizotypal personality disorder. She had been to the mental health facility and was seen as outpatient as preferred by the family. Because of the pandemic, like Freddie, they were not able to access mental health care. Her husband and Veronica, they went back to the village, leaving the husband's job. And Veronica's goals were to find another source of living and be reunited with her children, as her children have been taken care of by her husband's parents, as they were always scared of her behavior. And patient 3, Gary, a twin of Freddie, is also a fisherman. His condition started as soon as the COVID restrictions were implemented. He started with anxiety and later developed into major depression. He was also referred to the same institution, but for the same reason, he and family were not able to access the services. His goal, or the family's goal, is for Gary to participate again in activities at home, like active feeding, grooming, and even just communicating his needs. As a camp administrator, we made sure that all health conditions were cared of during the height of the pandemic, especially the Delta COVID wave. Initiatives like referral to teleconsultations were done, while the local government unit made sure that cash assistance and other social support were available. Freddie, Veronica, and Gary went through teleconsultations and were able to access also the cash assistance to procure the medicines, which were difficult before the pandemic. The psychiatrist during teleconsultations referred the three patients to teletherapy. Freddie and Veronica's immediate families were very supportive and took the opportunity to support them, while Gary's family had to step up, taking his role as provider for the family. It would be unfair for me to say that they were unsupportive. The members of our community, on the other hand, were very supportive, like providing support during teletherapy. And when they see Freddie in fishing activities, they were there willing to help. And they were also engaging Freddie and Veronica in conversations whenever they see them. The occupational therapy interventions involve, of course, community-based rehabilitation, community-based mental health. So, the activities, of course, because everything happened in the community. The family, there's the family participation, there's a community participation. There was a lot of psychoeducation. And there were movement activities like Zumbas with family and some members of the community. Symbol conversation with Freddie, with the three. Meal preparation, fishing, gardening, feeding chicken. As for Veronica, because she can write and she understands her situation very well, she was able to do journaling. And then selling garden produce and pancakes, that's for Veronica. And of course, Freddie selling fish and the crabs that he got from fishing. And as for Gary, there's the continuous visits from health workers and occupational therapists, just to make sure the family and the patient adhere to medication regimen and to encourage the family and the patient to keep going. In conclusion, so that's what's going on now. Freddie is capable of doing teletherapy alone, and he is back fishing, doing stuff. And you can even catch him watching movies with some members of the community. While Veronica is engaged in cooking or meal preparation, he is now back with her children. And she engages in socialization, and there she's selling her okra and other produce. So in conclusion, occupational therapy gives dignity and ignites hope when individuals' mental health functions are restored, involving families and communities for sustainable, functional, and productive living. Thank you.